Witness the fight the boxing world has been waiting for on Netflix. Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford face off for the first time in their legendary careers for the Super Middleweight Championship in Las Vegas. The winner will walk away the greatest of their era. Watch Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford Saturday, September 13th at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Live only on Netflix.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
You're tuned into Auto Intelligence, live from Auto Trader, where data, tools, and your preferences sync to make your car shopping smooth.
They're searching inventory.
Oh, yeah.
They find what you need.
They're gonna find
and
it.
You can make a budget for your wallet to help you succeed. Pricing's precise and true.
So true.
It's smarter car shopping.
Ooh.
Just for you.
Oh, it's just for you. Ooh. Find your next ride at autotrader.com. Powered by Auto Intelligence.
Welcome to the Uptown Parlay Podcast. We got Ace, Ant, and Malik.
What's
going
up?
on, man? What's up, fellas?
What's going on, man? Nothing much. Just
Nothing much, but 60-yard kick. That's what's going on.
That was a 60-yard kick that just happened?
No, I'm talking about my game. I'm still pissed
Oh,
off at that.
you're talking about your Pittsburgh and Jets.
Yeah, the dude stuck himself with some steroid thing and kicked 60 yards, and then Pittsburgh Steelers fans had the nerve to tell me that, this is natural. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not normal.
Man, he's 75 years old.
Boswell has a strong leg, man.
He needs to go to the Bears.
Yeah, we could have used him.
I mean, Santos...
Dude who beat us hit a 59-yarder just to get them up that 3 points, and then Santos missed a 50-yarder.
But he wasn't short on it, right? He missed it. He hooked it, didn't he? I could have sworn he hooked it.
He hooked it, yes, which annoyed me even further because that means he has a leg to do it. And even though we were in the middle of the field, he can't kick straight.
He just missed it.
Which means we would have
he's a steroid in his leg. He would have hit it straight.
Juice their horse legs like Lance Armstrong.
Well, overall, we had a pretty interesting week one. Overall, obviously, as you guys know, we did 15 bets. We each bet 15 games. So the results from week one: Ace finished 4-11, 2-3 on his best bets. Ant and I both finished 9-6 against the spread, and Ant finished 3-2 on his best bets. I finished 2-3 on mine. And Levon finished at 7-8 and 1-4 on the best bets. So,
wait, so Ace is last like his Bears?
So Ace is currently, yes, in last place for the week. For the week as we roll into week two. Any big surprises? Any big shocks from week one? I'll start with you.
Besides the steroid kick, my only big shock is that the guy I made fun of last week, and I have to apologize to him, Liam Cohen, with his dual ball thing. He was the only rookie head coach to win last week. He was the one I thought that was going to lose.
Wait, so
well, the obvious shock is obviously the Ravens game, but
yeah,
the other obviously actually, you know what? Another big shock to me, a real good shock, because I thought it was going to be a little bit better, was Danny Dimes destroying the Dolphins.
I picked the Colts to win that game. I expected the Colts to win. I don't know that I expected Daniel Jones to go off like the way he did, or them to blow them out. But I did pick them to win the game. I did think it was going to be a little closer. I mean, but my biggest surprise, honestly, was the offenses of the Jets and the Steelers. I mean, I think we all went into that game thinking that that was going to be a defensive battle that was going to be won, in like a maybe a 23-16 type of situation, or even like with both teams struggling to get to 20 points. And now it was exactly the opposite. Both teams, really played great offensively, were able to execute pretty much whatever they wanted on that side of the ball. And the defenses, which were thought to be strengths of those teams, struggled mightily. So it'd be
I
interesting to
do.
see where it
Yeah.
goes from there. Because
I do have to say that I had a little bit different. I did felt a little bit different that the Jets was actually gonna actually have a real offense. I just didn't want to say nothing because every year my fandom thing kicks in and I want to look at with egg on my face. So I wanted to be quiet about it, and I'm knocking on wood that it keeps on continuing.
Well, I was gonna say, do you? So I guess, and we'll get into it as we get to our picks for week two. But
Hmm.
how confident are you in what you saw in terms of, not so much in terms of the execution and what how they played, but more in terms of just the way that they played, and that being something that's sustainable over the course of the season.
I think it's going to be sustainable. In my opinion, the reason why is because of Aaron Glenn. I kind of believe in him right now and stuff like that. I've seen that type of. I see that he's not playing around. He's actually being a real coach. When we get to the games, whatever, like about Xavier Gibson getting kicked out of the team, but I believe in that dude, that Tanner Armstrong guy. At first, that was the one guy that all Jets fans was worried about, but you know what? He kind of squashed that, and now dudes are saying that, when he comes to the news conferences on a Jets media page on YouTube, dudes are literally saying protect this man at all costs. It's like he's like it's a sacred cow now because we don't see offenses on a play like that as a Jets fans. It's quite a long time. We can't even remember the last time we seen the offense like that.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not for nothing. It's not surprised. Go ahead, Hayes.
Who's your OC now?
Tanner Armstrong,
Tanner Engstrom, and
I
he
think.
learned under Ben Johnson in Detroit.
Ah,
dude,
I will say the Bears
it felt
offense
like a mini.
produced a lot better.
It definitely felt like a mini Lions game.
I mean, the
Yeah.
one thing that both your teams, and both your OCs, who both obviously have ties to Detroit, but the one thing that both your OCs have now is athleticism at the quarterback position, like a guy that can, tuck the ball and run and make plays with his feet, in a way that Jared
Two.
Goff just doesn't have. So, that's just a new wrinkle and a new weapon that they both have to make use of, and it looked like the Jets, for the most part of that game, and at least in the very beginning of the game for the Bears, they were both able to take advantage of the athleticism that those quarterbacks provide. So we'll
To
see how
that
it plays
point,
out.
Caleb Williams improved and he looked better to me, and I see why they drafted him. But my man is holding that ball way too long.
I think you have to give
This
him
is
time
one.
though. He's
He had a year, and he had two off seasons. And he had an off season with a real head coach this year. So I'm not judging him too harshly, but he got to improve. And this year, I'm not saying this year is to make it or break it, because no matter what, they're going to go 3 years because he was the first
Yeah.
overall pick. But if the
remember they was
Bears
doing the
don't
same thing
go,
with Fields before. He was holding the ball a little bit too long too.
well, Fields didn't. You see, but the difference is the team was actually way worse under Justin Fields. They didn't have the money to spend on offensive line. The offensive line was legitimately trash back then. Like, he was running because he had no time. Caleb Williams had time, and that throw he made on the sideline was crazy. And I was like, we're really going to win this. Minnesota's trash. And then Brian Flores said, okay, let's start with the blitzes. And then that's all it took for the continuity of the offensive line to fall apart. Hey, my man had no time. But I'm going to let y'all get back to the rest of it. And Geno Smith did exactly what I thought he was going to do. And Spencer Rattler isn't terrible. It's just that the Saints just lack talent this year.
Yeah, and
Straight up.
I think I even said it when I picked. I said Spencer Rattler is not terrible. He's an average NFL quarterback, and that's pretty much what we got. Well, real quick recap on week one. 12 of the 16 games that were played last week went under the total, which is typical for a week one situation or early season situation. 4 out of the 7 home favorites covered the spread, while 3 out of 4 home underdogs covered the numbers as well. Um, those 3 underdogs, the 3 home underdogs were the Falcons and the Browns, and the Bills wound up winning outright. So good day for the home teams last week, and good day to bet the under. So hopefully you guys made some money. All right, let's get into week two as we are currently watching the Packers beating up on the Washington Commanders, currently up 14-3 in the third quarter. We'll see how that plays out and give you guys some play-by-play as we're going. We don't typically pick the Thursday night games, but I think Ace, you had called you thought you had picked the Commanders. I know I picked the Packers at the beginning, but
Well, Washington would have won, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So if you guys did put some money on it, the spread at the beginning of this was, I think, was Packers -3. So if you picked the Packers, you're ahead right now. All right, let's get into the first games. So first game we have is the Browns at the Ravens. This is the biggest line of the week. Not surprising. The Ravens are favored by 11.5 points in week two, coming off of their loss in Buffalo. Ace, we're gonna kick it off with you with your adopted team, Ravens and Browns. Over under on this is 45.5. Ravens -11.5. What are you thinking?
That is a crazy point spread. It's like we know this is the best team in the league, but we also saw this defense hold down Joe Burrow and the Bengals last week, who barely got by them, which really messed me up. I almost wish they would have lost, to be honest with you, because they were favored by 5.5, and all I needed was a touchdown. That's what pissed me off the most, was the lack of bounce, explosiveness from the Bengals offense. That was really disappointing. It turned into a field goal fest in the second half.
Yeah.
Without the turnovers, I think the Browns can actually play a close game and keep this to within 10 points. I'm not going to sit here and say that they can slow down Derrick Henry, but that defensive line looks good. They look really good. And Matabuke is already hurt, who I believe is the best pass rusher that the Ravens have. So, and I believe one of their corners also got hurt in that game as well. I do not remember, but 12 points is crazy. I can't even remember right now if the Ravens are at home, but I don't think that they are. Are they?
The Ravens are at home.
The Ravens are at home. I'm gonna have to go. Man, this is tough because I know the Browns aren't gonna run the ball. I know the Browns cannot run the ball on them. But to just beat somebody that bad consistently, knowing going in, like you just got to beat the brakes off of them. I'm gonna take the Ravens. Normally, if this point spread was like 9.5, like that's how bad they are. They were like, no, let's give them another 1.5 because 9.5 isn't enough. It's week 2, and even the bookies don't have no faith in the Browns. They're the most talked about team that's trash.
Yeah.
I gotta go with the Ravens.
Sounds like you're not locking this in though.
Ain't no way. No, I do not. If it was a confidence scale, I'm not very confident on this.
Yeah. And what say you? And you there?
Oh, I'm just talking. I didn't notice I was on mute. But yeah, I'm looking over the history on this stuff like that, and I'm a little bit with Ace. It's kind of hard to pick and stuff like that. But you have to go with the Ravens on this one. They have at least a competent quarterback. He had, was it Joe Cool or whatever they want to call him, Joe Old Man, or Joe Retirement Home, whatever you want to call him. He's not enough to get this team over. Looking at over and under, I'm just gonna go with the Ravens being upset they lost to the Bills last week. For those who actually stayed there and watched the ultimate comeback, or maybe I got sort of a rewind on that. But I know that the Ravens are definitely going to be upset and they're going to come back there and floor it. So I'm just going to go on that one and just take the Ravens, and I'm going to have to go with an over on this one. I think they're going to put up another 40 points on their own again.
That's the interesting side of it. Like Buffalo, the Ravens and Buffalo, like nobody said that Buffalo was like a juggernaut defense, but nobody expected the Ravens to be, put up a 40 piece on them.
That's after
Um,
signing Joey Bosa, which really does
yeah,
not. It really
so
makes it look bad. Like now, I see why the Chargers let you go.
yeah. So, it's interesting because, obviously that game was definitely one that I don't think anybody expected the points to get up that high, especially in week one. So the fact that it did, it speaks both to the Ravens offensively, but it also speaks to them defensively. But that was Josh Allen doing it to them, not Joe Flacco. And surprisingly enough, I don't know if you guys know this, because I just heard this earlier today. This is Joe Flacco's first game in Baltimore against the Ravens since he left. He has never played in Baltimore against the Ravens since leaving the team.
Did he leave the
That's
So
team?
fun.
he hasn't been on that team in years. I mean, it's been
Yeah,
at least,
maybe
4 or 5 years.
it's like Lamar Jackson's second year, no, first year that he was there, last year, his rookie year.
Yeah. So yeah, we gotta be thinking at least 5, maybe 6 seasons that he's been off that team and he's
Yeah,
never
because
played in
Lamar, remember
Baltimore.
Lamar
Yes.
re-upped already. He's talking about re-upping again.
Wasn't he playing with the Browns like 2 years ago?
Yeah, but he
But he
joined the
came
team at the end of
afterwards.
the season.
So they didn't
He
have any
joined
more
this,
games
so
against
they probably didn't have
Baltimore.
any more games against Baltimore. And then he
Wow.
played with the Jets, and he played the Ravens when he was a member of the Jets, but they played him at MetLife.
So
So
Flacco revenge game.
yeah, so Flacco, this is his first time back in the home digs, and first time playing. Um, yeah, I'm gonna take the Ravens here as well. I think that I agree with pretty much everything you guys said. I think that the
You know what? I'm
Browns.
changing my pick. I'm going to the Browns. I'm going to catch up
Okay,
this week.
I
Oh, you,
think
you
the
think it's gonna be?
Browns.
Think it's gonna be some
Flacco,
glorious comeback?
Flacco revenge game. He keeps him within a touchdown.
Oh, you think he's gonna
Okay,
pull a Rodgers?
all right, I'll
Yeah,
switch
he's
your
gonna
pick.
he's gonna well, listen. This will be the fastest he runs all year. This game.
He's gonna put all his might into it, then take an ice bath afterwards.
He's still not
42
locking
years, I
it in
believe.
though. But nah, I think both defenses are legit. I think the Browns defense is legit, and they should be able to keep the game close early. But I think the Browns offense is going to struggle to sustain drives against the Ravens, and Baltimore eventually winds up getting a two-score victory. I think King Henry is going to have a good game. The Browns defense, they have some fast linebackers, but they're relatively small. And I don't think Flacco poses the same threat as Josh Allen. So I've got the Ravens winning at 33-20.
It's just
All
enough to
right.
get the over.
Yep. Yeah, so I have the Ravens in the over as well. But no lock for me. All right, jump over to the next game. Jaguars at Bengals. The Jaguars are getting 3.5. The Bengals are favored. And the over under here is 49. And I'm starting with you. Jaguars at Bengals. Who do you got?
It's kind of hard to decide. How much the Jaguars won by last week?
The
8.
Jaguars beat Carolina last week. I can tell you. I think it was like 26-10. I can't remember what. I can tell you um
That's all right.
in a second.
Because now you remind me is the Panthers, so they had a little bit easy compared to the Bengals. But
26-10, yeah. Beat him by 16.
Yeah, 26-10.
I'm gonna have to go with the Bengals on this one. They've been ashamed enough already. I mean, they won, but it was kind of iffy on that one. So I'm gonna go with the Bengals on this one. I'm gonna take the under. I think they're gonna work their way. Even though I said last week that the Bengals usually take their time to start revving up, whatever, and they can lose some of these games. I think they can actually win this game. I kind of feel a little hesitant on this because I don't want to bet quite twice against this dude, Liam Coleman, whatever. But see what happens. They already got rid of one of their running backs to Philadelphia, so they kind of streamline their team. So let's see what happens with them.
Yeah,
All
they
right.
didn't need everybody. They had a lot of running back depth, so I think that was smart. They got some more picks out of that.
Ace, over to you. Jaguars, Bengals. Who you taking?
I hate picking games like this. I genuinely do. Um, the Bengals are at home. The Jaguars defense isn't great. And the weather's probably going to be so-so, it's Cincinnati in September. The fact that they only got to beat them by 3.5 instead of by a full touchdown, I don't know, but I am going to go with Cincinnati. Trevor Lawrence still looks super shaky to me. Joe Burrow didn't throw a pick. He also only threw for 113 yards. They appear to have a running game with Chase Brown, who's a bit explosive. And their defense isn't completely terrible. But their best coverage linebacker, Olakun, for Jacksonville, is questionable, as is one of their cornerbacks. And they said they're going to play. They said they're going to play Travis Hunter even more on defense this week. So I think that's going to take him out of the offense. And from my understanding, one of their biggest needs is cornerback. And I don't think he's going to come in as a rookie and just start covering Jamar Chase, as well as not Joe Hayden. Good God, that man has to have retired by now from
T.
Cleveland.
Higgins.
They call him somebody in a
Huh?
retirement home.
You said T. Higgins. You mean T. Higgins?
No, Jamar Chase. I was
You
talking
said
about
Jamar Chase, and then you said I thought you meant T. Higgins.
Oh no, I was trying to think of the corner for Cleveland, who was pretty much all over Chase, who slowed him down.
Oh, you're talking about Denzel Ward.
Denzel Ward, thank you. Denzel Ward did a hell of a job last week, and the Jaguars don't have anybody that good. And if they need Travis Hunter to be that good all game, then that's going to kill them on offense because they're going to need him there as well. I got to lean towards the Bengals here, but I'm not going to lock this one in. I have a pretty solid pick to lock in on the next one.
Okay. I'm gonna roll with the Jags. I'm gonna be the lone wolf here and roll with the Jags. I want the points. The
Now I'm
Jags.
definitely afraid.
The Jags looked so. The Bengals to me they looked bad. They won. To you guys' point, you said that. I think Ace, you said that earlier. They won the game. They won by a point against a Browns team that defensively, gave them something to to worry about. Were able to lock in on Chase and Higgins, but offensively, they didn't do anything. They didn't show anything on the Brown side that any explosion. And Jacksonville, even though they didn't play their A game, they did some things in with they've done some things with that offense to make me believe that there's another level to that they can reach. Trevor Lawrence didn't have a great game. Mike Thomas didn't have a great game, but then they got a huge game out of Etienne, which nobody expected. So, to me, that team still has a level to get to offensively. And what better than the Bengals defense to help you, unlock unlock all of your potential from that perspective. So, I like the points here. I'm not going to lock it in, but I like the points here for a Jaguars team that I think has another level to hit from a scoring perspective and can make something happen there. I'm not fluky. I don't, I'm not going to say that they're going to blow them out or anything like that. I'm not even saying that they'll win, but I think that they have enough offense to keep this game close and make it relatively interesting towards the end. So I'll take the Jaguars, and I will take the over on this game. All right, rolling into the third game of the slate. Giants at Cowboys. Cowboys are favored by 4.5 in Jerry World. The Giants coming off of a loss in Washington, so this is their second consecutive road game. They lost in Washington 21-6, and the Cowboys barely lost. Were a few CD Lamb drops away from a potential, upset of the Eagles on ring night or banner night or whatever they're going to call it during the first game of the season. The Cowboys should be looking to get some to make things right and equalize things back at home. So Cowboys, Giants, the boys -4.5. Ace, what you got?
I got the Cowboys and I'm locking it in. You said 8.5, right?
4.5.
4.5. Yeah, I'm definitely locking in the Cowboys. They're going to beat the brakes off of the Giants. Malik Neighbors looks pissed already. He's a second-year player. I know he doesn't want to be on the Cowboys, but he was real familiar with Jalen Daniels. Like, man, I wish he was back on the same team again. This is not it.
Well, they're like best friends. They're like,
yeah,
legit best friends. So yeah,
he was on the same team, so I get it.
Yeah,
Russell Wilson is this is the end, man. I wanted better for him, but this is the end. The Giants have benched Evan Neal, so Evan Neal's not starting, and he was a first-round draft pick. So this is not going to go well. This is not going to go well for the Giants this week. Their best shot is to somehow generate a rushing game, and I don't think that's going to happen. So yeah, I'm locked in the Cowboys. They're going to crush this week, and Jerry's going to be just fine, and he's going to be happy because they're going to get a dub against the division opponent.
Yeah, the Giants benched Evan Neal and Andrew Thomas is still out and likely not playing as well. So that's another issue for the Giants offensive line up front. Yeah, I'm taking the Cowboys too, locking this in as well. I'm going to actually take the over in this game. I think the Cowboys offense looked about as good as I expected them to look against the Eagles, and that's supposedly a really good defense over there in Philly. I mentioned it last week. I think that the Giants defense could be a very good group, maybe towards the end of the season, but I think it's going to take time for them to gel, for them to grow, for them to build into what they can become eventually, and it's just not there right now. I think the Cowboys pose a threat to them. The thing that's most interesting to me about this is whether the Cowboys' rushing offense is as potent as we saw against Philly, or if that was just a blip on the radar against, and the Giants' front are able to make things happen there. Because if that's the case, then you're talking about Dak dropping back third down and long and trying to hit those receivers. And the more times you put it up, the more opportunities the Giants could potentially have to take it back the other way. And on the other side, if the Giants can muster up something with Tyrone Tracy, with Cam Scatterbo and their running game, then maybe you give Russell Wilson the opportunity to actually make some plays down the field, throwing to Malik Neighbors or any of the other receivers on that squad. I don't see it happening this week for them. And like I said last week, the conversation about Jackson Dart is already starting with the New York media. So I expect that to get louder when the Giants lose this week. So I'm taking the Cowboys as well. I'm taking the over, and I'm locking this as my first lock of the week. And over to you.
Yeah, you took a little bit of words out of my mouth on with that. I definitely agree with you with the media with the Jackson Dart thing. I saw a couple of videos on that already with WFN and the rest of those New York media is already they're already calling for Jackson Dart and calling for Russell Wilson to sit down. They already said they've seen enough of him. But yeah, I don't know if you guys even saw that with the clip that's been going around with Malik Neighbors, whatever him being upset, and it seemed like he was even upset at the coach is trying to give him like a high five or whatever, and he's just ignoring him, whatever. It kind of got me a little bit thinking about how Aaron Rodgers was like 2 years ago with Salah, whatever, when he ignored his high five type of thing.
That was last year.
Oh, last
Last
year.
season.
Oh,
Yeah.
that yeah. Oh yeah. So oh yeah, you're right. It was last year. Hey, how fast Salah got kicked out of there, but yeah, but you see
I've come
how
such
things
fast.
crumble, and I think the seat is getting really hot for Dable and stuff like that. I don't see them winning this game. I don't even know if Andrew Thomas is going to play. I doubt he's going to play. So they're going to be another week without him. So I definitely going to have the Cowboys in this one. Cowboys got more of a stacked team. Even without Michael Parsons on the team, they got a stacked team on offense. I can see them beating them, and the media is definitely going to go be roasting Dable, and Dable's going to need to save his job. So he's going to. I can say this: if there's a betting thing out there on this, Ace, you might know about this. I got Jackson Dart coming in by the fourth quarter.
If they care about his development and him actually being a long-term answer, there's no reason to rush him playing because, as I just mentioned, and as Malik said, they don't have an offensive line. They don't got good tackles. They don't got good guards. They don't got good center. So there's nothing worse than throwing him into the fire and just letting him get roasted
The
by
reason
the
why
Dallas
I
Cowboys
don't know
on
if he's going to
national
start
television.
afterwards, but I think he's going to come in because the thing is that the Giants going to get their behinds blown out so much.
Yeah.
No Diddy, but I think I think the Giants going to get destroyed so badly. And is this in what's the name? This is a wait. This
It's in Dallas. Yeah, it's in Dallas.
oh yeah, Jerry World is it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. It's going to be a beat down in there. So I
I
got I
mean,
got Dart coming in the fourth. Oh, and what's the name? Cowboys in the over.
are you locking this in or no?
Yeah, I'm locking this in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, if the Giants are getting smoked, then I could definitely see a situation um where Daboll has to bring in a backup, but I think it might be Winston. I think you might just bring in Winston and let him clean up the mess
Are you sure he's third?
in a game like that. But I'm just saying, in terms of who you bring in to kind of clean up this mess,
Oh,
I think
you don't
if
want to feed the media.
yeah, I think you want to. I think if you're gonna start Jackson Dart, I think you want to start him with a clean slate. You know what I'm saying? Like me personally, I probably wouldn't want to put him into a situation where, he's playing against, obviously if the Cowboys are really winning and they've pulled their starters or something like that, and then you bring Dart in and he's playing against second stringers and stuff like that, and he looks really good, you start
Yeah.
a conversation that really isn't based in anything. So if you do it the right way, you give him an opportunity to play with the ones, practice with the ones, get his first team reps, and you make the transition, give him a little bit of a softer landing than that. I mean, I could see them pulling Russell Wilson, especially if the Giants are down a bunch. But if I'm the coach, I'm probably just gonna put in Jameis and let him finish the game out and see where we go from there.
You better have him on to play because like I said, he's third on the chart. So hopefully he's ready. He's gonna be suited up to play.
Look, after that game, all three of these dudes are gonna be active. After that game, if they play, all three of these dudes better be ready. And and the cool thing about Jameis is he can wake up and throw. He ain't got no like he don't even need much warm up. Okay, he can wake up and throw the ball through a brick wall. He ain't got no problems with it.
All I know is
Um,
that the Giants better do exactly what you said if they're going to bench Russell because not only because the thing is that if the media calls for Dart to play, you not only got to play Dallas after this, so they got to play Kansas City, they got to play the Chargers. Of course, they get their break against New Orleans, but then it's Philadelphia, Denver. It's like a murderer's row right there.
yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe you start him against New Orleans. You give him a easy landing spot against the New Orleans defense. All right, next up, Ace. It's our game. Bears
Uh-oh.
at Lions, 1 o'clock in Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. The Lions right now, the spread is Lions -6, and the over/under on this game is 46.5. Both teams obviously coming off of losses in the division, and now they have another game in the division. The Bears lost at home against Minnesota, and second where the first half they looked pretty good. And the second half, Minnesota made a comeback, with rookie J.J. McCarthy. And the Lions were thoroughly beaten by the Green Bay Packers. And as I mentioned to some people were texting me and reaching out to me about how the team looked, and I said, honestly speaking, my only explanation for this is I'm not talking about the coordinators or any of the other stuff. Sometimes when you go out, you play a football game and you get your ass kicked, and that's basically what happens. They went out there, they got their ass kicked, they got thoroughly beaten by the Packers in Green Bay. And this is hopefully, they watched the tape and they realized, where they went wrong and the energy wasn't there and the intensity wasn't there. And they coming in, expecting to ramp that up to get a win because both teams, if they have any kind of aspirations for making the playoffs, both teams need to get this win. I won't necessarily call it a must win, but it's definitely a should win.
Oh
That
wait,
said, go ahead.
before y'all two go, because y'all guys are the most important people here because for when it comes to this game, I'm just gonna get my pick out the way.
Go
I'm just
ahead.
gonna pull a fast one. It's gonna be kind of weird. I got the Bears and I got the over. The Bears gonna pull it out some way somehow.
Okay. All right.
It's kind of
Are
weird
you,
for me to do that, but just want
is
to see
that a
what happens.
lock? Is that a lock or no?
I don't really want to lock this. No, this is between y'all two, so I'm not gonna lock this in.
Okay. All right. Ace, I'll kick it over to you. You're the road team here, so I'll kick it over to you. You get to start off first. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's bananas, man. I don't know. How many points we get in here?
6.
6. I'm going to take Chicago because the one thing that I saw that really stood out that a lot of people mentioned was how bad the Lions line was. And the one thing I did see that the Bears were able to do was get pressure without having a blitz, which they don't really blitz well to begin with, but they were doing pretty good. So I'm going to take the Bears and I'm going to pick Caleb to make less mistakes and take care of the ball better and not try to,
Uh,
be Superman. So I'm gonna lean on Chicago. We can't run the ball, which is not good. It really does not bode well for us. I can't even front. But yeah, I just got to count on that. And Jared Goff just looked rushed, but he's going to be in a dome, so he's probably going to be a lot more comfortable. And Ben Johnson knows what they like to do, so maybe he'll be able to take away from that this week. So I'm going to take the Bears with the points. I'm not going to lock it in though. That's madness. No.
well, I didn't lock in. I picked the Lions last week against the Packers, and I wasn't feeling great about it. But I am going to lock them in this week against the Bears. Look,
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
home team. Look, more than anything, they're coming home. They gotta lick their wounds, and they gotta make a statement here. One thing that the Vikings were able to do, kind of to your point, one thing that the Vikings were able to do last week was run on the Bears.
Yeah.
Both Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones Sr. had opportunities in the run game and made the most of it. And they were helpful, very helpful in the comeback that the Vikings were able to make because JJ McCarthy didn't have, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 12 type of situations. He had shorter third downs that he was able to execute. The Lions are obviously, that's what they want to do. They want to run the football. They want to control the clock. They want to control, ball control, and they want to, make big plays in the run game and then turn those big plays into, big passes in the play action game with Jared Goff having a clean pocket. So if they can't run the ball again this week against the Bears defensive front, then I think there's some real issues with that offensive line up front, and that we really need to have some conversations about Christian Mahogany, about
And
Tate
the old Lions are
Radledge.
back.
Well, no, I don't think it's that. I just think it's, we're gonna have to have some conversations about, the group up front. They didn't play
Mahogany's
together a
supposed to be
lot.
good too. He's a
Yeah,
rookie out of BC, right? Yeah.
second year.
Second year. Okay.
Yeah, he was almost pretty much redshirted in his first year. He was on the practice squad. But yeah, so I'm picking the Lions on faith here, honestly speaking. They didn't show anything last week to make me believe that they have the ability to go out and blow anybody out of the water. But if they play the game that if they impose their will on the Bears and they make it difficult for Caleb to, they are able to stop the run, stop DeAndre Swift in the backfield, and make it difficult for Caleb to convert third downs, then this game can get pretty, pretty, off the rails pretty quickly for Chicago. So I'm gonna take the Lions. I'm gonna take the under. I still think both offenses are still figuring things out from that perspective. So I think this ends somewhere around like 24-20. Sorry, 24-17, something like that. So I'll take the Lions. I'll take the under, and I'm locking this in. All right. Patriots at Dolphins, another divisional matchup, this time in the AFC East. These two teams both lost their games. The Patriots at home against the Raiders, and the Dolphins lost a stinker of a game in Indianapolis against Danny Dimes and the Colts. The Dolphins right now are favored by 1.5 at home, and the Patriots are coming in. This is not the lowest over under of the week, but it's close. It's at 43.5 right now. And you're the AFC expert here. We'll start with you.
One thing that happened, I don't know if I saw the ping on this. The Dolphins actually had a team, players only meeting. When those things actually happen, I kind of get a little cringy or whatever. That's when I feel like the teams is going to fall apart even further. So, I know I picked the Dolphins last week. I thought they was actually going, they fixed from the problems from last year, but it definitely seemed like it's coaching on my end. On looking on their end, is coaching is definitely on it. What's the name is too soft on them. Vrabel is a little bit more of a I believe in Vrabel a little bit more. So I'm going to go with the Patriots, and I'm going to take the under in this one, and I'm going to make this my second lock of the week.
All right, Ace. You live in the upper Massachusetts area, so this might not be your adopted team, but it's the team you live with. So, who you got? And you're on mute, by the way.
No, I was waiting for you to finish. You kept on talking. Yeah, this is not the team I cheer for. I live in southern New England. I live south of the stadium, which that's funny that they call it that. Considering all the pickup trucks I see around here, yeah, that fits. I got to go with Miami. Tyreek Hill is still going to be playing, even though the league is investigating him for off the field stuff, which I think he's going to be looking forward to this game because it's at home. So he's going to be able to, if he plays well, then maybe he can silence the doubters, and Miami will want to trade him while they can sell high and get a second round pick for a 31-year-old wide receiver who has slowed down a little bit, which is measurable. Like people actually measure these things, like his acceleration per game and how many times he hits miles per hour. And They've measured it over the past couple of years, and 2 years ago he was flying, and last year he slowed down a bit, and this year he looks even slower. So, but New England still has no corners. Christian Gonzalez still hurt. And if you can lose to Geno Smith, who is a statue, then you can still lose to the Miami Dolphins, who still were able to muster up a touchdown and not get blown out. New England looked terrible last week. They had one good drive the entire game, and their defense looked piss poor. I understand that they may have a better coach, but they still don't have better players. And I'm going to stick with that. I think Miami, what is it like? Is this a push or it's like a 2-point spread?
1.5.
1.5, same difference. 6-1, yeah. I'm going with Miami. Miami's going to get right this game. Now, it doesn't mean just because they win the game, they're actually a good team. It just means they get to stave off the Bluebirds at home. And New England always loses to Miami at home anyway, even when they had Brady and Miami was mediocre. So I'm going with the Dolphins here.
Oh, I'm hoping for a tie, just to let everybody know.
I bet you are.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning in your direction here. This as well, Ace. With the Dolphins,
Giving up so bad last week.
But I mean, to me, I would say, when you were talking, I was like, if there was one team that looked worse than the Patriots last week, it was the Dolphins. It was the Dolphins. They looked like straight trash.
Fair point.
And I just think obviously the shine is off the pig, in Miami, all of that. All of that talk about, because there was talk. I mean, and you remember this. There was talk a few years ago about how, McDonald, is that his name? McDaniels.
Yeah, McDaniels.
Was a QB whisperer and what amazing things he was doing with Tua and how Tua was leading the league in passing percentage and,
Didn't help this guy was wearing shades and stuff like that to coach and stuff like that, looking all like he's Mr. Cool and shit.
Yeah, like, I remember. I mean, this team is not that far removed from a 70 burger. For putting up a 70 burger against the Broncos. A couple of seasons ago, and all the speed that they had on this team and Devon Achane and everybody that was there. Like there was legitimate interest around this team, and it's faded very very quickly. But I think, Ace, to your point, the Dolphins are probably still a point to 2 points better than the Patriots at home. If this is on a neutral field, it's a push. Probably won't want to watch this game regardless, but it's a push to me on a neutral field. But just because they're at home, I'll give them the nod to get a victory and win this by a field goal. And so that's where I'm leaning right now. If this number were to go up any higher than like 3, I'm taking the Patriots just because I just think this will play relatively close, and the Patriots will probably want it to stay relatively close too. So, but I like the under in this game at 43.5, and I like the Dolphins at the 1.5 number. I'll take the Dolphins to cover.
Speaking of the shine, Malik, the shine that disappeared from Miami Dolphins, the shine of the coaching installed into them by Brian Flores. That's the shine that disappeared.
Hey, he was the coach before McDaniels came in, and yeah, they were really good for that 1 year, or really interesting for that 1 year, I'll say.
They had a good defense.
They did. That's Brian. That's Flores.
Brian Flores' defense, yeah.
All right, 49ers at the Saints. 49ers coming off of a victory against the Seattle Seahawks last week in Seattle. The Saints were coming off of a well-fought loss against Arizona at home. This is another Saints home game where they are underdogs in this. The 49ers are 3-point favorites. This line started out around 6.5 points. It's dipped down to 3, primarily because of the injury to Brock Purdy. Looks like he's going to be out 2 to 5 weeks with shoulder and toe injuries. So now the Saints, the number has come down a little bit, towards the Saints' favor. So the Saints +3 or 49ers -3. The over/under here is the lowest of the week. It's 40.5. So obviously points don't look like they're going to be at a premium in this one. And I'm gonna start with you. I'm sorry, Ace. I'm gonna start with you here. 49ers -3 at the Saints. What are you thinking?
Locking in the Saints. I'm locking in the Saints. As bad as this is, Spencer Rattler took care of the ball. He gave them an opportunity to win that game at home, and San Francisco's secondary doesn't look very good. and they almost lost to a pretty mediocre to average Seattle Seahawks team. And if you're telling me they only got to keep it within a field goal to cover, I'm gonna lock in. I'm gonna lock in the Saints. I'm gonna trust the Saints. And everybody who's on Survivor Football Pool is probably still gonna pick San Francisco, but knowing that the backup quarterback is who is it again? It's not Jimmy Garoppolo. He's in
Mac
LA.
Jones.
The
Is
Mac.
Mac
It's the return of the
Jones?
Mac.
Is
Yeah.
Mac Jones is terrifying to me. Because as much as everybody says like Kyle Shanahan is the guy that's like, it doesn't matter who his quarterback is, he's going to get to 10 wins. Apparently it does matter because they didn't win 10 games last year and they had the guy that they gave $240 billion to, who's already hurt. So yeah, I'm not betting on old McCorkle. So no, I'm taking Spencer Rattler, who was rated the number one overall quarterback in his recruiting class when he came into college and was crushing it at Oklahoma before he got hurt and Caleb Williams came and took his job.
Wait, what round was he drafted in?
He was drafted in the 4th, which is higher than when Brock Purdy was drafted.
Not as Mac Jones.
And Purdy had a better college career than him, actually. Considering, I'd say it's a bit of a push, but Purdy was pretty good at Iowa State, who's having their best year this year. But let me not get sidetracked. We're going to stay focused on this. San Francisco is not winning a game with Mac Jones at quarterback. I'm sorry. I saw him play last year at Jacksonville. He did not look much better. He was so-so with the Patriots. So, yeah, he doesn't have a much better offensive coach, but he's not getting that ball out quick, and Ricky Pearsall is not going to have another 100-yard game. So take the under. That's what I would say. Take the under.
Yeah, I'm not locking it in, but I am going Saints on the under here as well. I was pleasantly surprised by what I saw from the Saints, just as terms of the fight against the Cardinals. I don't know if it said more about the Cardinals being kind of just being mid, which a lot of people believed, even though a lot of people believed that they were a playoff team, or if it spoke to the Saints just fighting through and playing hard, and playing better, a little bit above their grade. But with no Brock Purdy, it looks like the responsibility is going to be on this 49ers defense led by Robert Saleh and Christian McCaffrey and what he's able to do. And although I think he looked decent, by his standards last week, he wasn't the explosive, big game breaking Christian McCaffrey that people came to know and love. That's getting paid the highest or the second highest per annual salary for the running back position. So it's going to be required for him to come out and play big and for that defense to hold things down. I think the Saints just have just enough to keep it close and could very well, to Ace's point, could very well win this game because if you're telling me that Mac Jones is going to have to make a plays in the fourth quarter to ice a victory, I'm going to trust the defense on the other side against him. So
they needed that last week against Seattle.
Even though he's not, even though he had some pretty good games in the Superdome, when he was playing for the Alabama Crimson Tide, but I'm not rolling with that here. So I'll take the Saints in the under, but I'm not locking it in. And over to you.
All right, I want to tell two short stories. There was once a quarterback that used to be in the New York Jets. He went to Carolina. He sucked it up over there. He went to the 49ers and he got a little bit better. And then he came down to Minnesota and he's played real good to earn himself a contract. The second story is quite another quarterback that used to be with the Jets. He kind of sucked it up there. He went to the Giants. He kind of sucked it up there. Then he went towards Seattle and he went on a good coach and he got a little better. I think it's going to be the same thing here for Mac Jones. Those two quarterbacks I was talking about, obviously, if you're a Jets fan, you'll know it's Geno and what's the name? And Sam Darnold.
Darnold. Mm-hmm.
But Mac Jones, he was under a horrible offensive coordinator in what's the name in New England. You remember him, Malik?
Matt Patricia.
Yeah, Matt Patricia does have offensive. He does have offensive thing under his belt. Back in the days, long time ago, I think he was an assistant. Back in the olden days when the Belichick's side was good, when the NFL used to be a defensive type of thing, so nobody really cared. But Matt Patricia under Mac Jones quite, in passing type of thing and offensive when the offense is good. Matt Patricia had a dinosaur type of offense, and he's kind of garbage. So now, if you put Mac Jones under a good coach who knows what he's doing, you have to give him a shot there, a shot in the arm.
Okay.
So I'm going to take the risk on this one because there's not everybody who goes to Kyle Shanahan and becomes really great, because we remember that quarterback used to be with the 49ers that went to the Dallas. Forgot his name right now, but I forgot what team he's with now.
Trey Lance, and he's with the Chargers.
Yes, yeah. But I think Trey Lance had a little bit more work to be done with him because he was more of a project. But Mac Jones was a little bit of a solid quarterback coming out that, he was okay to push this. Even with the 49ers, don't have Brock Purdy. They don't have Kittle because Kittle's on the IR right now. They Christian McCaffrey, he's one gravy spill away from being on IR. But they still have Brian Robinson, backing him up, and Brian Robinson is no pushover. They still got Salah, he might have sucked as a head coach, but he's definitely a damn good defensive coordinator. So he can do what injuries at IR, and they're going to the Saints. It's a good bet to go with the Saints right now and stuff like that, but I'm going to take the risk. Anybody out there who's listening to this, I'm going to be the only one on the risk, and I'm going to make this my lock of the week. I'm going with the 49ers, but I'm taking the under in this one.
I mean, I don't think it's a real risk to go against the Saints. I think that's pretty. I think going against the Saints is okay. You're going with Mac Jones, and that's a bit of a risk.
That's the risk. I'm going with Mac Jones, but I'm going with
you
the
and
risk.
Everybody who's in a Survivor League is going to be taking San Francisco, and they better pray that Spencer Rattler doesn't have a game in his life.
It could happen because they're at the Saints home, but I want to go with that. Mac Jones had a week of coaching, a week of scripts. Good, they're gonna go over whatever they're gonna build a new playbook around, a workable playbook around for Mac Jones to get by. By.
All right, we'll see.
That's what I'm taking.
Well, Ant, we're gonna stay with you for this pick. The next game is the Buffalo Bills at your New York Jets. The line right now is Bills -6.5, so Bills are favored. Jets are the home underdog. 6.5 points. The over/under on this is 46.5. Obviously, we know what the Bills did last week in that game against Baltimore Ravens on Sunday Night Football, and we know what the Jets did, showing some really good offensive work against expected to be good Pittsburgh Steelers defense, just losing in the end on the 60-yard field goal that you mentioned at the beginning of the show. So Bills early season game against the Jets in New Jersey. Ant, who you got?
Obviously, I'm going to go with my Jets, but as far as for the Bills, they got Ed Oliver, who might be actually not in this game. The guy who actually saved the Bills last week against the Ravens, who stopped from running everybody over, Henry from running everybody over. He's the one who knocked the ball out of his hand. But Ed Oliver actually showed a picture, of him in a walking boot. He might not be playing, never know. He might be a game time decision on that one. But I'm definitely going to take my Jets because this is what I saw last week gave me new faith. This is the first time in almost forever that I actually seen the Jets actually work in a workable, actual NFL offense. It was no run pass or run punt, whatever. It was actually a real offense. I saw things there. I saw that game I think 4 or 5 times in a row already. I already saw that game 5 times already. That's how good it was for me. I know everybody else was just like, oh, that's a normal type of thing. But for me, who never saw this in over a couple of decades or whatever, of real good offense for his team, it actually felt kind of good. Right now, like I said earlier, Tanner Enstrom's a sacred cow. Hopefully he keeps that up. He called a good game. He even called himself out on the press conference, saying that he needs to get these plays in a little bit earlier. And I kind of like that. Not only the players are taking accountability, the coaches are taking accountability for themselves as well. So I'm definitely going to take the Jets, and I'm taking the over in this one. I think we might see another risk here, but I think we might actually see a new thing here where these teams are actually scoring more as far as for the Jets is concerned. Usually people will take it like a 10-14 type of thing with the Jets. Actually, you can come out now a little bit more. I felt like I was holding it back last week. I'm going to go with my fandom whatever, and I think it's going to be a little bit high scoring game. Might not be like what last week was, but it's definitely going to be an NFL scoring game, I should say, up to 2025 NFL scoring game. So I'm definitely taking my Jets, and I'm taking the over in this one, and I'm locking this in too as well.
Oh, fourth lock. Fourth lock
Fourth
for
lock.
Ant. Okay.
I'm putting a golden
All
lock on
right.
that one.
I am locking in the Bills on the other side of this. And you know what is funny? I'm not doing it because, just to get at Ant or anything along those lines. I think we
Feel it in my
genuinely
heart.
saw. I no, I'll be honest with you, man. I like what I saw from the Jets last week against Pittsburgh. I thought they played well. I thought Justin Fields played well. I thought the running game looked good. Both Brees Hall and Braylon Allen, played well. I even thought Garrett Wilson, did some things in the passing game and stuff like that from an offensive perspective. That defense, I don't think it was as bad as those numbers looked, but I don't think it was great either. But what I saw from that Bills offense, man, it's scary. It's scary how good Josh Allen, is and can be, and the type of quarterback and the type of player that he's grown into, just like before our eyes at this point, man, he is scary good. And if he gets even an inch of daylight or an inch of an opportunity, he's reading defenses well. He's not turning the football over. He's putting the ball in the right position for his receivers. And he doesn't have household names of receivers. You're talking about, Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir and guys who, Bills fans know or fantasy managers know, but nobody else really knows to that degree. This is not like your down home guys that we know. Like these are not superstar receivers, these are not superstar running backs, but that quarterback is a superstar, extraordinaire, and he is doing some really, really amazing things right now.
I kind of seen it
And so
before. To
just
me, I don't know. For me, I've kind of seen it before.
I mean, like I said, we've seen it, but I think there was always the conversation before his MVP season last year. There was always the conversation about him, especially with turnovers, especially with turning the football over, and that being his Achilles heel. And so what we saw last year is he didn't turn the football over. And then this year, he threw the ball over 40 times in that game against Baltimore and had zero turnovers. And the fact of the matter is, if you're not able to turn that man over anymore because he's seeing the game better, or he's just anticipating the game better, or he's getting the ball to his guys and he's knowing when to run and when to tuck it and all of those things, now his mental has seemingly caught up with his physical, and that is a freaking scary ass dude, scary ass athlete on many, many levels. So I'm just gonna, roll with that at this point and say that I like the Bills. I'm gonna lock them in until somebody shows me not that they can score with Buffalo, but that they can stop Buffalo in that offense. And I haven't seen that yet from the Jets. And so I'm gonna lock in the Bills, and I'm locking in the over here as well.
Do
Ace,
you,
over to you.
wait before you go, I was going to ask Malik this. Do you think Josh Allen's on Patrick Mahomes level where he was when he was scoring all those points like crazy?
I absolutely do. And I
You
think
mean
that
in
this was, I think,
2021 or
Yeah,
2019, Patrick Mahomes?
the one when he was, I think it was 2021 when he was scoring like a whole lot of points.
Second Super Bowl, yeah. Yes, I do. And the difference is he doesn't have a Tyreek Hill or a Travis Kelsey, so he has to be that good
right.
every single play. He can't
And he
make a
doesn't have Andy
mistake.
Reid, right? He doesn't have Andy Reid calling the plays or Bieniemy or
Yeah.
whoever, whoever's out there. I think, and this is not to take anything away from Patrick Mahomes. What Josh Allen is doing with the level of talent that he has around him is really, really impressive. It's extremely impressive. And I would absolutely say that that at this point, I think he's playing not only is he playing the best football of his career, but he's the best quarterback in the NFL. Go ahead, Ace.
I mean, the difference between him and Lamar is insignificant to me because Lamar was playing amazing,
Oh no,
legitimately.
incredible. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
No,
like,
the
say
Ravens
that,
were
like,
the Ravens just did Ravens.
they just fumbled the
They just
ball.
fumbled the ball in the worst possible situation, which is exactly what happened to them in the AFC divisional playoff game last year too.
Yes. And it's Derrick Henry, which is like, come on, man. Like, him, for it to be him, it's just like, this is crazy. But yeah, I gotta go with the Jets here. They showed me so much on offense against a Pittsburgh Steelers defense that is usually the reason why they win, and they were so good with it. So I'm just gonna stick with that.
Okay.
Justin Fields was actually keeping his head, was actually keeping his eyes down the field, and he ran as a last resort. And when he ran, he was still faster than everybody else. And that's really going to be a problem because Joey Bosa was trying to run down Lamar Jackson and he couldn't. And guess who's also just as fast? Justin Fields. So they can't, it's not like they can just bull rush him and like blitz him and he won't be able to escape. There were so many times he escaped that I was shocked. Like, this is the best I've seen him play, and this is the top. This is, I think, he finally reached the top of his game. I don't know if he's going to get much better, but like, this is as good as he's going to be. So yeah, I'm picking the Jets, especially because they're getting 6 or 6.5, whatever the difference is.
Yeah,
If this goes, honestly, if I'm betting this on Sunday, I'm probably going to buy it up to 7.5. But for this pick, I'm going to take the Jets at 6 because Buffalo's defense looked terrible. I've never seen them look that bad. Their linebackers look bad. Their secondary still stinks. So he might actually make some plays. Their secondary looked terrible. Terrible. Zay Flowers was a Pro Bowler last year. He looked like a first team All Pro out there. He was doing whatever he wanted.
It was terrible against arguably the best offense in football. So we'll see.
I do got to say one thing though. I liked how Justin Fields'
the Jets look. Wait, that's what I finished. The Jets did look good against a defense that I said was old, right? And they are an old defense. Y'all really kept talking about. I kept talking about how old everybody was. How old everybody was. Yeah, when everybody starts getting to the mid to late 30s and early 30s in the NFL, like, yeah, dog, 10 years in is that's it's been a minute.
Takes a toll on you. Takes a toll on you.
I want everybody to be a 10-year vet. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But go ahead. I got to take the Jets because of the points.
No, the only thing I was going to say is that I like Justin Fields' maturity. Is like he's getting really good with his craft. He keeps on learning. One thing I saw on YouTube, I forgot to say this, that somebody pointed out that Justin Fields actually, his passing thing actually gets better every year. His passing percentage, he's actually getting better every single year, little by little. So never know, something might actually happen out of this year or maybe in the middle of this year. He definitely played out of his world last year. And it's kind of weird to see even the talking heads, some people that usually hate on him and hate on the Jets, was actually saying that he's actually playing really good. Colin Cowherd is one of them, which is weird.
The tape looked good. What the Jets need is a deep threat. They just need one deep threat.
That's
maybe they could trade the Saints for Rashid Shaheed or Brandon Cooks if they really want to make a push. I don't know.
I'm hoping that our rookie takes that role, Arian Smith.
Hope so. I hope he gets.
Tonight, turn down the noise of the day and focus on the rest with AGZ, the nightly drink for winding down and resting up. New from AG1. AGZ supports your body's natural sleep cycle with clinically studied key herbs, adaptogens, and minerals in amounts supported by research. And no melatonin, helping you wake feeling rested. Wind down, rest up with AGZ. Learn more at drinkagz.com.
Vitamin Water Zero Sugar has great taste, zero BS, and obviously zero sugar. For those with zero room in their calendar. Zero patience for slow walkers. Those who get 0 hours of sleep on a Saturday night. Have zero filter, zero given, and zero interest in grabbing a plain, boring water. Grab a delicious Vitamin Water Zero Sugar today.
Your earbud fell in a coffee cup. You need a taco pick-me-up. When modern life gets rough, grab the timeless taste you love. Paso, the old El Paso.
It's a chance. They just need a speed guy to run 9 routes. That's it. You want to run route 9. Go.
All right, let's jump over to the next game. We got the Seahawks at the Steelers. So the Steelers obviously won that game last week against the Jets in MetLife. And the Seahawks are coming off of a loss in Sam Darnold's debut at home against the 49ers. The Steelers are favored in this at home by 3. The over-under here is 40 even. So that's actually a little lower than the 49ers and Saints game. But the over-under here is 40 even. Steelers -3. I'm gonna try to wrap these up pretty quickly. Ace, what are you thinking here?
Give me Seattle. Just point blank. Just give me Seattle. I don't even care who's on the other side of Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers ain't throwing 4 TDs again. That ain't gonna happen. That is not happening. He got sacked 4 times also. They had to hit a 60-yard field goal. So even if they win by 3, which is what I assume they're going to do every game, it'll end up being a push. But in the chance that Seattle can somehow make this a 2-point game, like a 2-point conversion, give me the Seahawks in Pittsburgh.
I'll take the Steelers. I didn't see anything that I liked from Sam Darnold last week. He looked overmatched. He looked like he wasn't, he looked like the version of Sam Darnold that we saw before those 14 games with Minnesota last season. And he looked very much like a quarterback that was in above his skis. So to me, that said, also think the Steelers defense should be better. We know that this group is just very prideful about how they play defense and what they can do on that side of the football, and they should be better coming home and believing that situation against the Jets was a bit of a fluke for them. So I'm gonna take the Steelers, not locking it in, but I like the Steelers in the under. And
Yeah, I'm not locking it in either. I think it's gonna be I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh on this one. The only reason I'm gonna go with them is because they need that, they want to have that motivation, keep on going, whatever. Of course, last week against the Jets, unfortunately, it was an Aaron Rodgers motivation day, whatever, and he's talking all this smack afterwards. And I think this week is gonna be DK Metcalf's motivation, because they got him away from the team, whatever. This is his old team, whatever he's facing against. But I think they're gonna try. He's gonna go off because he was held down by Sauce last week, so he's going to want to show that he's the top receiver. So give me Seattle and I'm taking an under in this one.
You said Seattle or Pittsburgh?
Sorry, Pittsburgh. Give me Pittsburgh and give me the under in this one.
Okay. Next up, we got Rams at Titans. The Rams coming off of interesting victory against Houston. Their defense played really well. They won that game 14-9. Defense played really well in that game and was able to get to C.J. Stroud and that Titans offense, keep them off balance the entire game. While Matt Stafford and the offense on the Rams side didn't look great, didn't look explosive, but did enough to win. Meanwhile, the Titans looked surprisingly interesting against what was supposed to be one of the best defenses in the NFL. They took it to them. They went toe-to-toe against the Broncos in Denver last week. Cameron Ward looked pretty good, and their defense played well. They just lost it towards the end. And that's, obviously something to be said for a team that, going into that, everybody believed that they would get smoked, and they lost by one score. They lost by 8, 20-12 in that game. So, Rams are 5.5-point favorites going into this. I will go ahead and go first. The Titans are at home, and I'm going to roll with what I saw with the Titans. I'm going to roll with this. I believe that this team can, at the very least, keep it close, keep it within the number, and make some things happen to keep it relatively, tight. They're probably going to want to play it relatively close to the vest. They're probably going to want to keep the game low scoring, so I'm definitely going with the under here. But I like Titans. I like Cameron Ward, and I like what I saw from them against Denver. And I think they can replicate it against the Rams, who still, to me, haven't shown the ability to explode yet. I think it's coming. I think it's coming very soon for them, though, between Matt Stafford and Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. I think eventually they'll get it together. But on the road in Tennessee, Cameron Ward second game, I think they keep it close. So I'm taking the Titans and the under. Ant, what about you?
To me, until he proves it, I'm not gonna go with Cam Ward on this one. There's a reason why players that was drafted after him is actually getting more shine or whatever. And it's even though he was the number one pick. I want to see him actually take the reins or whatever and do a little bit more than what he did last week. I know you said that, he kept it close or whatever, but I want to see more out of this. So I'm going to have to go with the Rams in this one. I'm going to take the under as well.
All right, Ace.
I'm going to take the Rams, and I'm going to lock this one in. I think it's going to be an easy win for them. Tennessee's defense is not good. Their head coach doesn't even know enough of the rules to challenge that any body part is 2 feet if it touches the ground before the guy goes out of bounds. That's just dumb. And if you're that dumb as the head coach and you're a former head coach's son, Tom Callahan, who's an offensive line coach, and the fact that you don't know basic football rules from just playing Madden, get out of here with that, man. I'm sorry. An elbow, a knee, if his head touches the ground first and nothing else before he goes out of bounds, he's in bounds. Any body part that is not the foot, any body part, a shin, his nose, whatever, the back of his head, his damn shoulder could have touched the ground. He would have been in. Give me the Rams. They got a better head coach. And that Jared Verse, defensive rookie of the year last year, I believe, very good pass rusher. He's going to give Cam Ward problems. Kim Ward looks prepared. He doesn't look nervous, but he does look like he's playing by himself. Calvin Ridley is not giving him any help, and he needs some. So they're gonna they have a quarterback. They just need to build a team around him. I'm locking in the Rams for my second lock of the week.
Yeah, that's what I should have said more. Maybe you just need more of a like you said, maybe need more of a team around.
He's not bad. It's a team game, you know. It's like a baseball team with one hitter. Like you need more than that. It ain't gonna work.
Ace, one quick correction. That's your third lock. You locked in the Cowboys and the Saints before that, so
Perfect.
all right.
3-0 so far. I see.
Quick update on Thursday Night Football. The Packers just kicked another field goal to go up 27-10 against Washington. Just over 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter of that game. All right, Panthers at Cardinals. The Cardinals are favored by 6.5 here. Both teams, the Panthers lost. The Cardinals won last week in New Orleans. The Panthers lost against the Jaguars. I would say both teams got some work to do in terms of what they what they showed in those respective games. I don't think either one looked really great, even though the Cardinals did get the win against New Orleans. So 6.5 points is a lot to lay for a team that frankly hasn't really done much to warrant that level of support. I think this is more about the Panthers than it is about the Cardinals. Over under in this game is 43.5. Ace, I'm started off with you. Panthers at Cardinals. What do you got?
Give me the Cardinals. Give me the Panthers because they're on the road and because they're getting that many points. I just don't trust Arizona. I thought Arizona was bad last week, and I still think they're bad. Carolina's not terrible, and I think they're going to improve. And Bryce Young just needs to clean up the interceptions. He's not a bad quarterback. He can actually throw to the middle of the field okay. I watched a lot of the game that was on Red Zone. I saw more than just clips. I'm not exactly a quarterback breakdown guy, but like he doesn't look terrible. And they got good young wide receivers. They probably could have used Thielen, but I guess they wanted to send him back to Minnesota because he was ready to go. And it cleared cap space for them as well. So maybe they'll invest that money somewhere else. But Xavier Leggett and Tedrow and McMillan look good. Tedrow, they got a real number one receiver. So they got a shot. So yeah. I'm going to take Carolina on the road here to cover. And I believe McBride is hurt for Arizona. I'm not exactly sure, but he's going to be playing with an injury. So that also factors in for me as well.
All right, Ed.
This is going to be a revenge game here so I'm going to go with the I'm going to take Arizona in this one. Last time, the reason I'm saying it's a revenge game because last time it was last year, in December 22nd, Panthers beat Carolina in overtime, 36-30, to knock them out of the playoff contention. I think Arizona remembers that, so they're definitely gonna use that as motivation to win this. I know this is supposed to be, quite Ace is saying how quite Carolina's might be a little bit good to get over this, and he doesn't trust Arizona. But I think Arizona is gonna use that on their bulletin board. This is gonna be their second game. They want to keep that. They want to keep the pedal on the metal right there. When you have beaten already Seattle, and you have the 49ers, and in limbo right now. You don't really know if they're gonna win or not. Even though I did pick them the 49ers to win on this one, but I know in Arizona's type of mentality, they're gonna want to be ahead in this early on game. So they're gonna want to take Carolina seriously and actually beat them on this one and actually get ahead in their division. So give me Arizona. I'm not gonna lock this in, but I'm gonna take Arizona and I'm gonna take the over in this one.
All right. I'm gonna take the Cardinals here as well. A quick statistic for you guys, just in reference to the Panthers here. 10-3-10-10. That's the number of points that they've scored in the last 4 games, including the 3 preseason games that they played. Now, granted, those are preseason games and nobody cares about preseason games, but when you get the starters on the field and they can only score 10 points, that's a problem because your third string guys only scoring 10 points or 3 points in the game is one thing. Your starters coming in and can only muster up a 10 burger against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who we admitted and we all agreed did not look great in that game on the road, at home. Yeah, that's not a good thing. Now they're on the road again against the Carolina team that, although agreed, they did not play great. They did get the win, and they are a team that's known for, at the very least, hot starts to the season. At home, I think that they should be able to take care of business and cover the 6.5. Again, I do agree with you, Ace. I don't think Bryce Young's a bad quarterback. I just think he's been given a bad rap, similar to Cam Ward, kind of in the situation. He's kind of walked into a situation where the around him is just really, really, really not good, and they got a lot of work to do to build that roster up. And I think it'll happen hopefully eventually. It'll happen within his tenure. Maybe it'll happen after he leaves, but we'll see what happens there. But I'm going to take the Cardinals, not locking it in. I'll take the under as well.
As the young kids say, they're kind of mid, the roster.
Exactly. Broncos at the Colts. The Broncos are favored here by 1 point. The Colts are home dogs once again. Even after that huge victory against the Dolphins last week, they are still 1 to 1.5 point favorites, depending on what book you're looking at. Um, Obviously, the Vegas and the media world does not care about Danny Dimes, doing what he did last week against the Dolphins, and they believe that that's more bad Dolphins than great Colts. We'll see what happens, but right now, -1 going to the Broncos. The Broncos, as I mentioned earlier, did not look great in that victory against the Titans, but this is an opportunity for them to kind of right the ship against a team in the Colts that looked really, really good offensively and looked really, really good defensively. Is one of the surprises of the first week in the NFL season. So Broncos, Colts, Broncos -1. Ant, what you got?
Well, since the Broncos is not going to be at home, they don't have to face the Colts don't have to face that mile high type of thing they're going. But this is going to be in Minneapolis. This is going to be a home game. This is a one. Both teams has won their games, and I can see why the media still doesn't believe in Danny Dimes, especially the larger media, because they obviously follow a lot of the New York teams, and they'll see Danny Dimes how he was there. But as for me, there's a reason why I picked Denver to be my defensive fantasy team, and I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with the defense on there. I think they're gonna rattle Danny Dimes a little bit, and I'm gonna have to quite agree with the media a little bit on this one. Quite Danny Dimes might have been playing good, but let's see how he does. Quite 2 weeks in a row. So until he proves himself, I know how the people always saying that they say that about many quarterbacks. I just said that on the last pick right there as well. But give me the Broncos. Give me the under in this one.
I will take the Broncos as well. I agree with everything you said. The only thing I'll say about the Broncos for me is I did not necessarily like what I saw out of Bo Nix last week.
Yeah.
And that Titans defense, as Ace mentioned, the Titans defense is not a great defense. I think the Colts defense is better than the Titans defense. I think the Colts overall as a team are a better team. And so to me, that should bode well for the Colts to be able to at least stay with them in this game. I'm only going with the Broncos because the line is so low. I think 1 point is a pretty low line, and if I believe that the Broncos are the better team and the better offensive team, then I'm going to be picking them. So I'm taking the Broncos, and I'll take the under as well. Ace, over to you.
Give me the pack. Give me the pack. Give me the Colts. I think they're the better team. They have a better running back, and they're going to test that Denver defense. And the fact that they're at home gives me more faith that Indianapolis is going to be able to pull this off.
Okay.
So I know they're home dogs barely, but essentially it's a pick 'em. What they're saying is that if Indianapolis was on the road, they'd be getting, 3.5 points. So I'm going to take Indianapolis and just count on them to be able to win the game and grind this one out. And Daniel Jones has shown himself to be competent and not turning the ball over. And he took advantage of a bad defense, which is what you're supposed to do. And Denver's quarterback could not do that. So we will see. We will see what Bo Nix does in year 2. Right now, it's not looking good. And having to go on the road is not going to do them any favors. Although they got the win, they can't feel too confident about their team. So, yeah,
right.
I'm gonna take the Colts on this one.
All right. Let's get over to the game of the week. Super Bowl rematch. Philadelphia Eagles at the Kansas City Chiefs. Both teams, well, the Eagles won their first game, the first game of the season, the first game of the inaugural game of the NFL season against the Cowboys at home. In not really convincing fashion, but at the very least, though, they should have Jalen Carter back because I don't think he was suspended. He was just fined, so he should be back at full strength, playing on this defense and maybe showing them what they lost. They lost out on last Thursday. Meanwhile, the Chiefs went to Brazil and lost a game against the Chargers, where They were thoroughly outplayed. I think that's just, it's just plain and simple to say they were thoroughly outplayed. Justin Herbert outplayed Patrick Mahomes, and the Chiefs didn't look great. And Xavier Worthy got hurt, and now they looks like they already didn't have Rasheed Rice, who's serving his 7 game suspension or 6 game suspension from the league, and they look like they're reeling a little bit. So the Eagles right now seem to be coming into a great situation, and they are favored in Kansas City against the Chiefs. And from my understanding, this is the first time in a very, very long time, if not the first time entirely, that Patrick Mahomes has not been favored at home since he started winning Super Bowls as a member of the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's an interesting stat to hang your hat on. The Eagles walk in here with a little bit of confidence and coming off the Super Bowl victory, and so we'll see what happens. But the Eagles are 1.5 point favorites in this. The over/under is 47. This is the highest over/under of the week. Ace, start with you. What do you think?
I'm going with Philly. Philly still has the better offensive line. There were a lot of penalties from Kansas City. They're going to be at home, so they should feel very confident. But the fact that they're home underdogs and defending champions is kind of crazy. Hollywood Brown is
Oh,
available.
they're not home. They're away.
No, they're
Kansas
away,
City.
and the Chiefs are the underdogs.
Yeah, the Chiefs are at home, aren't they?
Yeah, the Chiefs are at home.
Oh, okay.
That's what I
I
said.
thought you said Philadelphia was at home. Sorry, my fault.
Oh, no, my bad. Yeah, maybe I was going on a little bit too much, but yeah, they are. The Chiefs are at home, so they should feel confident about that. But their defense looked terrible. They look bad. And if Justin Herbert can cook them like that in a neutral site game, maybe it was the travel. Maybe the travel got to them. Maybe they were too relaxed. They felt like they was on vacation down there in Brazil. I don't know. I think the fact that Philadelphia's opened up a home win, I think they're going to be able to go into Kansas City and get a win. 4:30 game, so the body clock is not going to be that bad. You're only losing one time zone, so they'll be all right. I'm gonna take Philly on this one. I think it's going to be an easy one, and I think Saquon is going to be a big difference maker. Kansas City could not run the ball, and as long as Jalen Carter doesn't lose his mind, I think he's going to stick in this game, and they're going to be all right. He plays angry, but hopefully he can harness some of that angry energy.
And over to you.
First off, I gotta say that you guys gotta say it like how they said it in the Fast and Furious, Brazil, whatever that guy was saying it, like gotta say it out loud like that. But anyway, I think this game's gonna have a Taylor Swift sighting and it's gonna start the BS again with the refs cheating for them and stuff like that. But besides the tinfoil hat stuff, I'm gonna take Kansas City. The only reason I'm taking Kansas City in this one is because they're down 0. They're down one game. They can't afford to lose another game. Yes, they can go on a run or whatever like that, but I think in this game they're gonna have to try to show like a statement type of thing, like they can actually beat the defending champions. And it was the Super Bowl was just the Super Bowl, and they put it behind them. So I'm gonna actually take the over in this one. I think this is actually going to be a shootout type of thing. And I'm not gonna make this a lock because this game can go either way and stuff like that. This whole thing can just be thrown out the window. Philadelphia can stomp the crap out of them, and it can move on. And then Kansas City will come back later on and sneak into the playoffs. But as far as for this game, I have a feeling that it's going to be Kansas City winning this, so they can keep that they gotta keep themselves up there so they can actually get that first round bye or whatever.
I like the Chiefs here too. I mean, like I said, they've never been a home dog or at least haven't been in a very, very long time under the Patrick Mahomes era. And the Eagles, while they, got a win against the Cowboys and looked like they were just kind of coasting a little bit towards the end, and that's when the Cowboys, gave it a scare. The Chiefs look bad, and they should be really, really, pissed off about how they looked against the Chargers, and they don't want to fall to 0-2. And this will be the first time, and if they were to lose, this will be the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career that he's lost 3 straight games, dating back to the Super Bowl. He's never lost 3 straight games in his entire career. So, as a starting quarterback, so a lot of records here on the line, a lot of things here on the line for the Chiefs. One thing that we do know is that is that the Eagles like to control things with their running game with Saquon Barkley. He didn't look, great against the Giants. Against the Cowboys last week. Didn't have 100 yards rushing, and the Eagles offense struggled mightily as a result of it. They scored 24 points. And so clearly he's still the engine that makes that thing go. And I think that because of the team speed on defense, the Chiefs will be able to do a better job than the Cowboys did of being able to rush up the middle with Chris Jones and then pursue if and when Jalen Hurts breaks the containment. So I think this is a game that trends more towards the Chiefs controlling the ball, controlling the clock, and Patrick Mahomes dinking and dunking his way down the field and getting themselves points when they need it. So I like the Chiefs to win a close one here. I am going to lock this in as my fourth lock, and so I'll say take the Chiefs and the under. All right, let's move over. 3 games left. Falcons at Vikings. Another Kirk Cousins classic, but this time Kirk is not the starter on either one of these teams. On neither one of these teams, it is Michael Penix versus J.J. McCarthy. Washington versus Michigan. Um, so let's go ahead. The Vikings are the favorites here at home. They're giving 3.5 points to the Falcons. The Vikings obviously won last week in that game against Chicago in miracle fashion, and the Falcons figured out another way to lose. Where Young Wei Koo missed a kick at the end of the game in a game that the Falcons were pretty much playing well and holding their own against the Buccaneers, and just couldn't finish it out at the end. So right now, 3.5 points. Ace, I'm gonna start with you on this one. Falcons at the Vikings. What are you thinking?
I am locking in the Falcons. This is a dome team going to another dome team. I like Atlanta. I like the way that they play. I know Drake London sustained an injury during the first game. Kyle Pitts finally got on the board, scoring a touchdown. These are two very offensive teams, and Michael Penix Jr. played really well under pressure last week. I know that Brian Flores likes to blitz. He's a second-year quarterback. Um, he's going to have a real chance to do some things. And Bijan Robinson is the best running back in this game. Aaron Jones didn't look good. Two-headed monster didn't look good against the Bears defense. And Atlanta's defense was doing a pretty good job at slowing down Tampa's run game as well. I think Atlanta realized that they lost one, and I was surprised that Young Wei Koo missed that field goal as well. Like, I had him as my kicker because he's so clutch, and anything within the 45 to 48-yard range, I thought he was going to just crush. So, but I'm not counting on Minnesota to come through again. And JJ McCarthy, I think he's going to struggle. The fact that he threw a pick six and was able to win that game kind of amazed me. But just a confluence of things that the Bears just could not figure out how to do. So we will see. But I'm taking Atlanta with that 4.5, and I think that's huge. I think they're going to cover. I think they're going to lose by a field goal at the worst. Again, their run game is really going to make a big difference for them.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with you as well, Ace. I'm taking the Falcons. I'm taking the over. I'm not locking this in, but I'm definitely going to take the Falcons on the over in here. I too kind of think that the JJ McCarthy era, although it's off to a great start with the victory that they had against the Bears, it was a bit up and down in terms of his performance and in terms of what he was able to do there. And I think against a more prepared team for what he's going to do, especially a team that's going to be able to score a little bit, that may be able to score a little bit more than Chicago did, and be a little bit more consistent with their scoring, especially with their running game. I think that'll help them to cover the number here against the Vikings, if not win outright. So I like the Falcons here as well, and the over. I would never make this a best bet because the Falcons will always find ways to lose and to not cover, and this, that, and the third. So I don't like the Falcons on the best bet, but I definitely think that they should be able to keep it close and get the score up because I think that they're both relatively explosive offenses that can get the number up well over that 44.5. So I'm going to take the Falcons and the over. And over to you.
You said it already, but a little smidge of it. But out of these two teams, the biggest winner was Kirk Cousins. Basically, he fleeced both of these teams, and the last he fleeced was the Falcons out $100 million just to sit on the bench and chill with his spinner Rooney diamond chain or whatever. So I'm gonna. But the thing is that Michael Penix is a little bit ahead of JJ McCarthy. We're gonna have to be comparing both of these quarterbacks. I think this is gonna be the first time. This is obviously the first time they're gonna be facing against each other in the NFL. Both of them was drafted last year, but we're going to see what happens. I see why you guys are definitely picking the Falcons is definitely a good pick. But since both of y'all picked the Falcons, I'm going to, just for the hell of it, I'm going to go, make this more interesting for our audience over here. I'm going to go the opposite way and take Minnesota, and I'm going to take y'all picked the over or under?
We both picked the over.
The over, and what's the line on it?
It's 44 and a half.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to go with the over as well, but I'm going to go with the Vikings on this one. I think the Vikings as a team is built around as far as the quarterbacks, and I'm starting to believe that they can actually make a quarterback a little bit better. Usually the reverse is when the quarterbacks will make the team better, but I think it's the reverse. We saw it last year with Sam Darnold. Give Sam Darnold a couple of more games, but it looks like it's the same thing. What happened with JJ? Even though they was a little struggling in the beginning, all of a sudden he came active at the end. It seemed like everything was clicking in place. And it does kind of help to have Justin Jefferson on your team. And one team has Justin Jefferson, the other team doesn't. So I'm going to go with Vikings, and I'm going to take the over in this one.
All right. 2 minutes to go, 147 to go in the game. The Packers are leading the Washington Commanders 27-18. The Commanders have the ball and are trying to drive to get this game back. All right. The Commanders don't have any timeouts, though.
I know. I think they're just going to be just short.
And I'm losing in both of my fantasy leagues.
Same.
Buccaneers at Texans. Texans are favored by 2.5 at home against the Bucs. Both of these teams, Buccaneers won last week against Atlanta. The Texans dropped that game against the Rams in LA. Their offenses sputtered and did not look great on that side of the ball, even though the defense did look pretty good as usual. This is a very interesting game for both teams because both teams look to have, higher than just going to the playoff aspirations. They want to win some games. They want to put themselves into the mix of the best teams in their respective conferences. And it starts by, not just winning your division, but, getting some home games in your division and being able to make a run. Got Baker Mayfield versus CJ Stroud here. Texans minus 2.5. I will go first. I am taking the Texans, and I am locking in the Texans as my final lock of the week. I think at some point in time they just got to figure it out offensively. I mean, it's going to happen. Nick Chubb has to have a good game. CJ Stroud has to have a good game. Nico Collins. This team has a lot of talent on this team, and the fact that they're not putting it together is really kind of surprising to me. More often than not. In 8 of his last 11 games, I believe the statistic I saw, in 8 of his last 11 games, CJ Stroud has had a quarterback rating under 80. So that's not good. He's not playing great at this point. But I think 2.5 points at home against the Buccaneers team that to me, is a really good team, but just another to me, they're a bit of a mid-level team. I don't necessarily think that they'll win. Again, I don't think they'll win every game, and they're on the road. So I'll take the Texans to cover this number. So I'm going to lock this in as my last lock of the week. Texans and the under. Ant, over to you.
Yeah, I'm going to go the same way. I'm going to take the Texans under in this one. They got to, just like you said, they got to show up, whatever. Things got to happen. And also the Buccaneers does have injuries on their end and stuff like that. I quit. This game can go either way, but this is a home game for the Texans. And I think they definitely need to show up because, they lost their first game. They can't go down by 2. And, they definitely in a tough division. Corey got Indianapolis is already ahead of them. And they don't want to get stuck behind. Or both Indianapolis and Jacksonville's ahead of them, I should say. And they definitely don't want to be left behind with Tennessee. So they definitely going to want to force to win this one. So I'm going to take the Texans on this one. And I'm taking the under as well.
Ace.
I'm taking the Texans. I think we all agree here. I just don't believe in Baker, and I don't believe in that defense. I like the Texans, and I think that they should be able to pull this off. It doesn't make any sense to me why they can't. It doesn't. It really legitimately just doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm leaning here on the Texans, and I think they're going to be able to win this one. I like Nick Chubb, and I think they're going to play better in this game because I didn't see, no team last week in that game really covered themselves in glory between Atlanta and Tampa. Neither team really looked good. It just seemed like kind of Tampa just held on for the win, So maybe they'll steal another division title this year. I don't know, but it's not exactly, it doesn't bode well for them Doesn't bode well for them much either. So I'm leaning on Houston because of the defense, and they're going to be at home, which I think is going to make a big difference. And it's going to be hard for Tampa to pull off 2 road wins to open up the season.
All right, that brings us to the last game of the slate, Monday Night Football. I actually think Buccaneers Texans is a Monday Night Football game too. I think they're both
Doubleheader,
Monday
yeah.
night. Yeah, I think it's doubleheader.
Yeah, the
Last
doubleheaders.
game of the slate, a 10 p.m. Monday Night Football game, which I will not be watching because I will be asleep.
Yeah.
Chargers at the Raiders. The Chargers are on the road again after flying to Brazil for the first game and winning that game against Kansas City. They're on the road again to play against the Raiders in Las Vegas, a little bit closer to home. Just a 4-hour drive from LA to Vegas, but still not on the not at home yet for the Chargers. The Chargers are 3.5 point favorites, so the Raiders are home dogs, even after winning their game against the Patriots last week in New England. And the over/under in this game is 46.5. It looks like both you and Ace both have one lock left, so I'm guessing you're putting some locks on this.
Yep.
I'm out of my locks, but I'm gonna hand it over to you two to talk about your locks and talk about your picks. Ace, I'll start it off with you.
I'm locking in the Las Vegas Raiders. They're at home. They got a good pass rush. They won last week, and I think they can win this week. Chip Kelly and Geno Smith. Chip Kelly is the offensive coordinator. Geno Smith is actually playing some of his best football, and I'm taking a chance on an older guy. I know that Brock Bowers got hurt last week. They have Michael Mayer behind him. Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers. Oh, man, it's something
Yes.
Myers. That is
Yeah,
his
yeah,
name.
Jacoby Myers. Yeah.
Jacoby and Myers. Yeah, Jacoby and Myers, the law firm, as I like
Yeah,
to
the law
call
firm
him.
of Jacoby Myers, yes.
Yeah, the law firm of Jacoby and Myers, one attorney on that one. I think they're going to do a pretty good job, and I think Vegas's defense was pretty good last week against an outdoor team, and Geno plays better in domes, and he's going to be at home in the dome. So I think it's cool that they're doing a doubleheader for Monday night, and they still have Max Crosby as the pass rush, So I think that's going to make a huge difference. And Khalil Mack was all over Patrick Mahomes, although Mahomes was still able to make a miracle play. I don't know. Like, they were locked in against Kansas City. I don't expect them to be as locked in against Vegas. This team's going to have to travel the most, and I think that's going to take a toll on them as the season goes on. I know it's early in the year, but Vegas went to the East Coast and won week 1, and they're coming back home. So I think that extra day of rest is going to help both of them. And the Chargers had more time off. So the fact that they're at home and they're getting 3.5, is it 3.5 or 3, Malik?
3.5 right now.
I'm gonna take that hook and I'm gonna count that Vegas is gonna lock this in for me and give me the 5-0 my best bets, so I can have my 5-game parlay. Let's make some money.
All right, and you have a best bet on this as well. You have a lock on this as well. Where are you picking?
Yeah, I'm definitely locking on this one, and I think this is it's kind of messed up for the Chargers on this, because the thing is that the Chargers not only had to play Kansas City last week, but now they had to play against Vegas this week. Both teams are in the same exact division. But if I'm the coach, which is Harper on this, I've been looking at these both games from the off season for the longest time. The reason I'm looking at this because when you win one game versus the division is like winning two. So they already did the first job by being Kansas City, and now they're going to be going against Vegas. They want to keep the foot on the throttle. And I remember AC was saying this last week, a couple of weeks ago, I believe, that you believe that the Chargers want to win this division. So this might be the key to winning this division right here, by keeping the foot on the throttle. So I'm going to go with the Chargers, and I'm going to take the over in this one. That's definitely going to be my lock. They're going to keep the foot on the gas because you got Denver. They won the game, but they didn't play against the division. You got Vegas. They didn't play against the division. The only one that played against the division that won a game was the Chargers. So I'm going to have them winning this one. Definitely going to be a lock. Definitely going to be over. There's going to be both teams facing against each other. I don't believe in Chip Kelly. They figured his behind out before when he was in the league, when he was a head coach, and they figured him out. They're going to figure him out again. So I'm going to take the Chargers, and this is going to be my last lock of the week.
I am going with the Raiders at home. I am not locking this in. But
Sorry, Malik. The way you said it, you had to say, "I'm going with the Raiders." You got to say it like that.
I'm going with the Raiders at home. Getting the 3.5 points. I just feel like the points here, mean something. They matter. We didn't see much from Ashton Genty last week in terms of just explosive plays, but we know that's part of his game, and we know that he's capable of it. I just think the Raiders have a pretty good, a pretty good offense and a pretty good game plan. And I trust Pete Carroll to be able to game plan in any situation, in every situation. And at home, getting 3.5 points, I just like the opportunity there for them. Not locking it in because to Ant's point, I can absolutely see the Chargers going in and making things happen, and Justin Herbert, making that turn to not be just a good quarterback, but one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And if he is in fact that, if week one it tells us anything, and he is in fact that, then the Chargers are going to have a really good season, and the Raiders may be in for a tough game here. But I'll take the Raiders. I'll take the points. I'll take the hook on this, and I'll roll there. All right, we're at the end of our picks. The Green Bay Packers won that game, 27-18 over the Commanders, and are now sitting
Unfortunately.
at 2-0. If you picked the Packers like I did, you are now up. You're ahead this week. But we don't use the Thursday night game in our selection, so it does not count for me. Going into
Yes.
going into this week, the locks, our locks are: Ace has the Cowboys, the Saints, the Rams, the Falcons, and the Raiders. Ant is locking in the Cowboys, the Patriots, the 49ers, the New York Jets, and the Chargers. And I am locking in the Cowboys, the Lions, the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Texans. So, in all honesty, we all locked in the Cowboys. So, at the very least, we're going to be putting money on the Cowboys this week, I'm guessing. So, I think we should go ahead and do that. Just for prosperity's sake, let the fans know that we believe in that Cowboys pick, and we're going to go ahead and roll with that because we're all locked that in.
We believe the Giants stink, is what we
That's
believe.
that's probably true
We
too.
believe the Giants are terrible. And sorry that Levon is not here to defend his team, but I think he knows it.
Oh, great!
I
I
don't
want to
think
step
he
in for
would.
Levon and say this is great Giants news. They picked up Xavier. Um,
Gibson,
hey,
yeah, I
yeah,
saw they picked him up.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
he was great. He's great on punt returns until he started fumbling. You,
Hmm. How long do you think they call for Brian Daboll's head before he's like, yo, you got to go?
what
If
date is Sunday?
if he puts Jackson Dart in the game and Jackson Dart
It's
looks
the
good, I think
14th.
Brian Dable is able to keep his job.
Hmm.
All right, before we roll up out of here, Ace, you want to do some quick college picks before we close out?
Yes, I do. LSU is going to be playing Florida. LSU is favored by, I think, 7 or 7.5. I don't think
Yeah.
that LSU is going to destroy them. I normally would just kind of hammer the LSU pick because Florida looks like they're in a tailspin. But I believe, is the game in Death Valley or is the game at home? Is it at the Swamp?
It is in Tiger Stadium. It's in Death Valley.
Oh my God. That really kind of changes it for me because it's at night. And they don't lose night games at home as much as I don't like. I think this is their year. You know what? Billy Napier, you're getting fired, bruh. So I hope your buyout is high. You know what I mean? Like, I hope your players really believe in you because I was about to pick Florida, but I just can't do it. LSU's the number 3 team in the country for a reason. Florida lost to USF, and USF is not like special. And DJ Lagway's a 5-star quarterback. He played a little bit at the end of last year. That was a big reason why they kept him, why they kept the coach. And I think Billy Napier's a good coach. He built Louisiana into a really good program. So it's kind of hard for me to be like, he's a terrible coach, but no, his players love him. At least in Florida, he made sure they got paid. He gave back some of his salary last year. But damn, I forgot it was in LSU. I'm going with LSU. I'm going to pick Illinois, number 9. They're hosting Michigan State. I'm sorry, they're hosting Western Michigan from the MAC, who's 0-2, who's just getting destroyed. That's going to be on FS1 at 7 p.m. You can just flip back between that game and make sure that they cover. They're getting 27.5. Malik, were you going to pick in the Florida LSU game, or are you just going to be a homer and pick LSU?
Of course, I'm picking LSU.
They should.
Yeah, of course, I'm picking LSU
I didn't
in this
think they
game.
were going to lose. I just didn't think that they would cover because for
It's
whatever
the
reason, like they seem to give the game away. But Nussmeier looks good. He legitimately does.
No,
I
he does.
think I think Notre Dame is going to cover against Texas A&M, who's 2-0. Notre Dame is number 8. That's the big game on Saturday on NBC. Notre Dame's first home game of the season. Notre Dame is 0-1, but they lost to Miami, pretty close game last week. Very good teams. Miami at home against South Florida, the best game that the CW has ever had in their life since they've been broadcasting ACC games the past few years and Pac-12 games. South Florida 2-0, Miami 2-0. This is for the state title, as I like to call it, Florida. South Florida they're going to play UCF. They played Florida. They played University of Florida. They played Miami. And I think they play UCF later in the year, but I'm not sure if they still have that rivalry game going, the war on I-4. And if they did play UCF this year, they'd actually probably beat them. I got to go with South Florida to cover. Miami's going to push them around, but they're getting 17.5 points on the road, and Miami's going to be going nuts, and they're really going to care about that game. I think Miami is going to play themselves into the playoff for the ACC, and that's going to be a big game for them. So those are the three games I want to pay attention to. Oh, and Ohio upset Ohio University, not Ohio State, the Bobcats. They upset West Virginia last week at home. West Virginia came to them in a bye game, in a home-and-home situation. Everybody in America is betting USF, so pay attention to that. But the 17.5 points, if that goes down underneath 17, do not take it. I don't think Miami's going to blow them out. They're going to try, but USF is very athletic and they have a really good QB. I don't think Ohio State is going to cover against Ohio. They've never lost. They haven't lost to a team in the state of Ohio in like 40 or 60 years or something like that. The number one team in the country. I think this is going to be on Peacock. I think Ohio University is going to cover that 31.5. I don't think Ohio State's going to beat the brakes off of them. They usually take it easy on the MAC schools, and the MAC schools usually do end up covering. And their quarterback really doesn't have much to prove in Julian Sain after they won the Texas game. So that's all I got to really say there. I don't know if you wanted to touch on any of the games, Malik, but those are my college picks for y'all.
Just one game. The line has moved significantly in the
South Florida?
Georgia-Tennessee game. No, in
Oh,
the
that's the one I
Georgia-Tennessee
forgot.
game, it started out at 7.5 at the beginning of this week. It's now down to 4. You can actually get it at 3.5 in some books, minus 3.5 towards Georgia. I don't know of
Really?
any major injuries that have occurred or anything that would lean you in a way to believe that, Georgia is, has lost 4 points of thing. But I say jump on this. If you're feeling good about what Georgia's done so far, even though they haven't really played anybody. They played Austin P and they played Marshall.
Yeah.
They haven't, their defense has played well. They've done well in those games.
It's a lot of
And
belief in
Tennessee
Tennessee at home, really.
and honestly, Tennessee hasn't really beat. Tennessee beat Syracuse in the first week, and
Ooh,
East Tennessee. I don't know who the heck they played last week, and they beat the brakes off of them. But
Division two
again,
school.
yeah, again, they haven't played anybody yet either. So, these two teams haven't really, been tested. This is probably going to be the first time they're really tested in any game this season. And so the fact that Georgia went from a 7-point favorite or opened up to a 7-point favorite and it's now down to 4, to me says, like you said, there's a lot of juice heading Tennessee's way. So if you're believing in Georgia, jump on this because if the money starts going back the other way, you might not be able to get this number at 3.5 or
I
4.
think
You might be
I
looking
think
at
all the sharp
6.
money jumped on Tennessee early because they were at a touchdown and they brought it down.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It
So
brought it down. But there's no other reason. It's not like somebody got hurt on the Georgia side. So if you liked Georgia, if you were betting on Georgia before, yeah, bet on Georgia now. And this is from somebody who's not a Georgia fan at all. And they're 0-2 against the spread so far this season. So this is an opportunity for them to, right the ship from that perspective too. That's it for me. Let's get into our shout outs before we roll off. Ant, you ready to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. First I'm going to give a shout outs for my Jets fans out there. So my first couple of shout outs are shout outs to the Tanner Anstrom. Like I said earlier, that this guy is being treated like a sacred cow for the Jets fans. Hopefully he don't screw up because it could in Disney, New York. So things can easily go sideways and they can curse him like crazy, find out new things about him. We already saw that with the Gates and we saw that with Robert Saleh. Right now, he's the golden goose. And shout out. So as I'm right now, I'm basically going to give another shout out to you, Malik, and the Detroit fans out there. and Detroit Lions themselves for this man right here, because I'm doing it for the Jets fans out there that I've been seeing for the longest week. I'm doing a community of a shout out to you guys, for letting us this guy, develop and let him actually get out of the room. We can't believe that actually happened. We was kind of worried a little bit when AG brought him over. We loved AG because he's former Jet. But we didn't know nothing about Tanner Armstrong, but we saw, he brought in a little bit of, the Ben Johnson, skills over there. So he was like, all right, we're feeling kind of good. We're feeling kind of happy right now. We're on cloud nine, even though we lost against the Bills. So that's the little side shout out right there. Also, like to give a shout out.
Tanner was on the short list for the offensive coordinator opportunity at Detroit when Ben Johnson left. But he took the job at the Jets pretty quickly. So
yeah, I'm kind of glad he did that because, I usually, right now, as Jets fans, we're usually kind of worried when a defensive coach comes in, and even though it was AG, we're usually worried about a defensive coach coming in because, they're horrible at picking offensive coordinators. But anyway, that's my shout out for the Jets fans out there, whatever. I had to make that shout out, whatever. But I also want to make a shout out that I missed last week. Shout out to, let me pull that in here. There's going to be a little list here. Shout outs to Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, Cam Wood, CJ Stroud, Dak Prescott, Geno Smith, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, Jordan Love, Justin Fields, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Michael Penix Jr., Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, and Spencer Rattler. The reason I'm mentioning them because this year was the first time in history 16 black quarterbacks actually started week 1 and also going to be in week 2. This is half of the NFL right here. We're making progress because I remember definitely years ago, it was hard to squeeze a black quarterback into the starting role. They always wanted to put him as a wide receiver, whatever like that. So I had a shout out to that as well. I kind of forgot about the rest of my shout outs because, it went out the window or whatever, but I did remember one that I do want to mention. This is being recorded on 9/11. So I'm going to say that as well. Shout out. So unfortunately, those people that died on 9/11 in 2001, we always remembered as long as these other news that's going around. Unfortunately, I feel that was actually clouded and shied away. Only a few people I've seen in social media was actually talking about that. Unfortunately, I remember that because I remember that day when I got woken up because I'm a quarter, as people might know, or people don't know, I'm a night owl or whatever. So I wake up late. So I missed when the first plane happened. I got woken up because my family was actually awake and they saw that the first thing happened on TV, whatever. It was talking about it, and I saw it. The second crash, and it was a crazy moment or whatever like that. I even remember going to Malik's house even when after that happened because he had that nice balcony view of downtown, and I actually saw that smoking and stuff like that. But actually, you had to bring that up. I know this might be posted on what's name 9/12 or maybe 9/13, whatever, but 9/11 is definitely still going to be in my heart, whatever. Remembering that day and remembering those people, whatever. So I'm going to mention that one as well. Hopefully, I do. I know I'm bringing up memories or whatever like that, but I have to mention that.
No, that's good, man. Yeah,
absolutely.
Seriously.
Apropos, man.
Especially because we're all from New York and we all went to high school right downtown by the World Trade Center, which is kind of something that
it was right. We would have been right there.
We used to pass that every day on the way to high school. So yeah, that holds a special place in my heart.
I always say, if you're a New Yorker, and if you're a native New Yorker like the three of us are, everybody's got a story about that day. Everybody's got a story. You never forget where you were that day, and what and it changed our lives, exponentially for the rest of our lives. So it's one of those turning point moments that you'll never forget. So absolutely, any opportunity you get to just Day of Remembrance. I've always said I believe the National Day of Remembrance should still be here. I think people should get the day off of work and should have a National Day of Remembrance for this day, almost similar to Pearl Harbor Day. So I think the same thing should probably happen for this, but we'll see. We'll see if it ever does. Ace, you got shout outs you want to give?
I have 3. One, none of them are as serious as that, but one shout out, I say, shout out to the 13 players at the 6 different colleges, college basketball, who were throwing games, who were betting against their schools and betting on their schools. Shout out to the Eastern Michigan, who's in the MAC conference, #MACtion. Shout out to the Eastern Michigan Eagles. Shout out to the North Carolina A&T. Shout out to the Arizona State. Yeah, Big 12 basketball, major college basketball. University of New Orleans, your neck of the woods, Malik. North Carolina A&T, Temple in Philly, Mississippi Valley State, and I believe it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, Mississippi Valley State in the SWAC, who are betting on their own teams and then betting against their schools. 13 players now suspended. Father said this is what it was going to lead to. You could have college athletes throwing games and bet against themselves, and a couple of guys got busted at Fresno State as well. So shout out to those guys who are apparently listening to this podcast and we're trying to take advantage. I told y'all, if you play in a league, do not listen to this. Just cut it off. Unless you're an NBA player. If you're an NBA player right now, tune in. We got you. Okay? We will give you the picks you need. We will give you the picks you need to make some money. I think you're allowed to bet on other people's sports. Just can't bet on your own. So cut us off when March pops up. But we got you right now for football season. Just lock in with us. We got you. Shout out to the BC, Florida State's new quarterback, Thomas Castellanos. Left BC, got Florida State back in the game, 2-0. He almost beat Florida State, covered the spread 2 years ago when I went to go see them play. Really great game. Local guy from Massachusetts. I don't know if he's going to get a chance in the NFL, but he's getting some of that NIL money playing for FSU, and he's helping them get some dubs. So shout out to him. And shout out to Darian Mensah, who got an opportunity to make $2 million for his family by going from Tulane University to Duke to go play some college football for them. This NIL money that everybody was crying about, this is life-changing money. And this is a guy who was raised by a single mom who genuinely needed it. And this is why I wanted the players to get paid in college. And shout out to the WNBA. This is the first time in a long time that every team that makes the WNBA playoffs is going to have a winning record. And shout out to my New York Liberty, who are 27-17 and who have secured the 3 seed again. They didn't win 30 games 3 years in a row, but that's almost impossible to do. Last year they won the title, but it genuinely looks really good that the Knicks are going to get an opportunity to possibly knock out the Seattle Storm.
Seattle Storm, yep.
I think that's who they matched up with in the first round, who I'm not a big fan of. Sue Bird always used to come in and just wax us back in the day, but it is what it is. She's one of the greats, and she's not there anymore, and we stole their best player who was left in Breanna Stewart, Stewie. So we got y'all number now. I'm going to see y'all in the playoffs. And that's it for me.
All right, and I will go. I have 3 quick ones as well. Ace kind of touched on the WNBA and what's going on there. Shout out to the Liberty who are back in it and ready to fight to defend their crown. But shout out to Nafisa Collier. I'm a huge fan of hers, and she finished her season. She finished with a 50-40-90 season, which is relatively historic in WNBA numbers. We've seen this a couple of times in the NBA. This is the only player. Collier is the first player to do it in WNBA history while averaging 20 points per game, as she averaged 22.9. She could very well win the MVP this year. There are some really great players in the WNBA. If you're not watching those games, you should be. If you're a basketball fan, you should be watching those games. And she is one of the best players in the world right now on the women's side. So shout out to her for making her MVP case. Shout out to Aaron Judge, who hit 2 home runs tonight and has tied Joe DiMaggio for 4th on the Yankees all-time home runs list.
Amazing.
It's crazy to think that as a team that's been around for well over 100 years, and a guy who, in my opinion, I mean, it doesn't feel like Aaron Judge has been doing this for a very long time, but he has been. He's been in the league. He's been in the league for 10 years. 2 of those years, 2016, he was a rookie. He didn't play much. He only played 27 games. In 2020, he was hurt, so he only played 28 games. So in the 8 seasons that he's actually, played and finished the season, because in those seasons he had 9 and 4 home runs respectively. So that's 13 home runs. So 13 home runs in 2 seasons. In the other 8 seasons of his career, that's where the 360 come from, right? 360 minus 13. So you think of that. 360 minus 13, that's 347 home runs in 8 years. That is insane, okay?
Wow.
Those are crazy numbers. Throw on top of that he is averaging, again, he's batting 322 this season. You know what he batted last season? 322. Okay, the damn man is well over 300 hitter. He slugs well over 600, sometimes 700. He's at 669 right now. His OPS is always well over the ones, and anything over a one is incredible. His career average OPS is 1.021. Like this guy may very well, if he keeps this up, I'm just saying this right now. If he keeps this up, there is only one Yankee that you can probably put ahead of him when it's all said and done. If he plays another 4 or 5 years at this level, there's probably going to be only one name that you can put ahead of him in terms of Yankees, provided that he wins. Yes, provided that he wins at least one World Series. He does have to win, and he does have to perform in the postseason, and that has to happen. But if that does happen, these numbers, incredible. I don't care if it's a juice ball era. It ain't the steroids era anymore. This guy's doing it naturally as far as we know. And he's doing it at a clip and at a rate that's absolutely incredible. Shout out to Aaron Judge for doing your thing. And last but not least,
he only has 19 home runs this year. He doesn't even have 20 home runs.
Who, Judge? No, Judge has like 46.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. He has 44. I was looking at Stanton.
Yeah.
My bad.
Oh, you forgot to hit the refresh button.
I was looking at Stanton. Wrong guy.
Last but not least, shout out to the Cleveland Browns, Grant Delpit and Jerry Jeudy. I don't know if you guys heard these guys recently, but they've been talking this week. Obviously, Baltimore Ravens are on the schedule. This is a division rival and all of that. And so there've been conversations. The media's been talking to these guys, asking them what they think about their opponents and what's going to happen. And Jerry Jeudy, flatly, when asked about the challenge that the Ravens secondary presents, Jerry Jeudy's plain and simply said, no challenges. And we're talking about Kyle Hamilton. We're talking about some really good players on that side of the ball. And Jerry Jeudy said, no challenges. Not a thing at all. Perfectly fine.
We got it.
And then to add insult to injury, I don't know if you want to call it that, Grant Delpit doubled down on this information.
I don't even know who that is.
When Grant Delpit, the Browns safety, his starting safety, was asked during the week about how difficult it is to deal with Derrick Henry, the 250-pound running back on the Baltimore Ravens. He quickly replied, "It's not that hard." Now, granted, Grant Delpit did have a pretty good hit against, there is a clip out there with Grant Delpit putting a pretty good hit on Derrick Henry sometime last season and hitting him with the too small celebration that they use in the NBA where they put the hand close to the ground and they say everybody's too small. He did do that, so he does have a little bit of a way to, he does have some kind of track record to go with.
You don't have his back. He's an LSU guy.
No, this is what I'm saying. I'm shouting them out because, dude, this is the stones on these guys to be part of the Cleveland freaking Browns and to be like, hey,
he's listed at 210. So
not really a challenge. Not really hard to take down Derrick Henry. Not really a challenge, these guys. I am here for it, and you guys are 11.5-point dogs against these Ravens in Baltimore. You're feeling disrespected. You're feeling like everybody's counting you out. Guess what? Everybody on this show counted you out. So go out there, make something happen, make history, go do your thing, and prove to the world why Derrick Henry is not that hard to tackle, and prove to the world why the Baltimore secondary isn't all that good and doesn't present any challenges to the great Jerry Jeudy, Alabama wide receiver that he is. All right, we're out. We'll see you guys next week. We'll get Levon's picks posted so that he can join us in the picks, and we'll get everything rolling out to you guys. Any last words before we roll off, Ace?
No, I'm good, man.
Oh, I had one more shout out to Xavier Gibson. Hopefully you survive with the Giants, or make some last for me. So I can get on Levon on that one.
Shout out to Ben Simmons for turning down that minimum contract with the Knicks. I thank you for that. Thanks for not.
Thanks for not. Thanks for that.
Oh, and shout out to Pablo Torre for basically letting us know that all the Clippers do is stay cheating. It's crazy.
And I hope Austin Eckler is okay too, because I heard that he got injured in his Achilles. So I'm going to be dropping him in fantasy, but hopefully you're okay.
He did. All right, everybody, we are out. Peace.